Hi YouTube, this is a quick comparison video between the new JVC GY-HM170U camcorder and the Canon XF200. Now there are two versions of the JVC 4K camera. The GY-HM170U that you see in front of you and the GY-HM200. Now there used to be a 170, not the 170U, which did not come with the XLR handle. JVC now ships the JVC 170U in front of you here with the XLR handle for free. I'm not sure if that's a promotion or that's going to be a staple in the new product as they're selling it. But now really the only difference between the more expensive GY-HM200 is the SDI out and the Wi-Fi streaming capabilities, which I don't need, so that's why I opted for the 170U. So back to the comparison. You will notice on the JVC you have two lens rings. That's right, two, not your traditional three or your one with a switch to switch it to different purposes. So that's kind of interesting. I've never seen a two-ring lens before. By default, your first ring here is your focus, and this is zoom. Now I never understood why people liked the zoom ring. I've always been very happy with my rocker switch. So JVC does allow you to switch this purpose to iris, and that's exactly what I did because I find that more useful when I'm filming. There's also a little knob down here which by default is your iris. I switched that to shutter speed. I will apologize if you hear crunching or jingling in the background. Those are my furry friends walking around doing their business. Now on the Canon here, you will see your traditional three rings. You have your focus, your zoom, and your iris, which is nicely laid out. The big difference, probably should have mentioned this at first, is your big symbol right there that says 4K camera. If you are looking for a 4K camera in 2015, this is one of your choices that you have. The Canon XF200 is not 4K. So if that's what you need, the Canon XF200 would not be for you. The JVC does allow you to film in other formats besides 4K. It's got your HD, 1080p, 60 frames, 30 frames, 24p, among other things. I can show you guys the menus as the video goes on, but right now we're just looking at the ergonomics of the two cameras. One thing you'll notice here on the JVC, which is very nice, it has your ND filter switch. Now it does not have your traditional three levels of ND, your quarter, your 16th, and your 1/64th. It does just have your quarter and 1/16th. It really would be nice to have that 1/64th, but it is what it is. Now on your Canon, you will notice you do not have your traditional ND filter switch. That is because they are built in electronically on that Canon XF200, which in my experience with the camera, they've worked very nicely, so it's not a deal killer for me. If you look at the JVC camera here, the layout of buttons, you will see down here you have your automatic iris or manual iris. All you have to do is hold this button in for about 5 seconds or less and it switches it from auto to manual. You have your gain button here, low, medium, and high, and you can switch those in the menus to what you like. You have your white balance switch here, your A, B, and preset. I believe B by default is 5500K, A is 3200K, and then your preset obviously is whatever you choose it to be. You can switch it manually. And an easy way to do that is if you look here on the front where your iris default switch is, there's a button labeled 9, and what you can do is, or what I did was I switched that to white balance, and what you can do is for your preset you can push that button, and then with your control knob inside your LCD screen you can go between all the different white balances in 100K increments, which is really nice. Now on your Canon XF200, this is the button layout for there. You can see you have your full auto switch here. You have your shutter speed. You have your gain and your white balance here. And the white balance adjustment, I will say, is I like the way it's set up on the Canon a little better. But as far as the JVC, it's just a matter of getting used to it. But you can switch that obviously as well. I believe that those are set up A and B as 5500K, 3200K by default, and then obviously your preset one you can switch manually to whatever you like it to be. Another difference between the JVC and the Canon is the JVC has a 12 times optical zoom where the Canon is a 20 times optical zoom. So it does give you a lot more zoom with the Canon. A longer zoom range on the JVC would have been nice, but again, 12 is very acceptable in my opinion. I'm very happy with the 12. But it is something to consider. If you need a longer zoom, the Canon XF200 will give you that. Something else that is different about the two cameras. Now, it's a very simple difference and not quite a big deal, but it is something to point out. Something as simple as the lens cap. You know, the JVC has your traditional lens cap removal, where on the Canon there is a switch here on the side that you can flip it open and close it when you're not using it. Where the JVC you kind of have to fiddle around and put it on traditionally. Yes, there's a chance you could drop it, lose it, forget where you put it. It would have been nice in 2015 if JVC would have put a flip switch like Canon. I still don't understand why most manufacturers don't do that. But minor quibble, I guess, if you want to say, but it might make a difference to some of you. Something else that might be important to you, and was kind of important to me when I bought the Canon too, is it's nice to have a camera that has an infrared mode. The Canon XF200 does have that. As you can see there to the left, you can switch it on or off. The JVC does not do infrared night recording, night vision. So if that is also a feature that you desire, you will not find that on the JVC. As far as recording formats, you will see here on the JVC, you see the big 4K on top, which is very nice. But it also does HD, SD, and HD plus web. If you look over here at the Canon, again, this is just an HD camcorder, but you'll notice that the codec is MX5. That is a 50 megabit per second codec. And below it, you can also film an MP4 if you need to do like uploading to the web, things like that. And one really cool thing too is on both these cameras, you will see you have the dual slots for your cards. Now the Canon takes CF cards, which are a little more expensive. The JVC takes your SD cards, but if you want to film in 4K, it's the SDXC U3 Class 10 cards to film the 4K video. But also a nice little bonus on the bottom here of the, if you can get that to focus, of the Canon, you'll see an SD card slot, and you can actually record up to on 3 cards at the same time, which is crazy. I always like to, like you can see here, the 2 top ones, if that will focus. The 2 top ones are my CF cards, and the bottom one is my SD card, which is really nice. I mean, I always film in dual backup mode in case a card corrupts if I'm doing a wedding or an event. I always like to have an instant backup. But what's really crazy is you can have a second backup at a lower bit rate if you needed it, or if you want to just be super sure. So that's really neat. So you can actually record on 3 cards at the same time. On the JVC, obviously it just has the 2 card slots, but you can do a dual backup as well, as well as relay recording, and you can do the relay recording on the Canon XF200 as well. If you are going to film in HD on the JVC, you have 1920 by 1080. You can do 30p, 25p, 24p, 50i, 50p, 60i, and 60p. Your resolution, obviously you can do the 1920 by 1080, or you can do the 1280 by 720. The format is QuickTime, or you can do AVC HD. But if you want to do 4K, you can go up to 4K, and your native resolution is 3840 by 2160 at a max of 30p. On the Canon, if I can go back into the menus here, you have, oops, sorry, the knobs here. You have your MX format, and you can, this is how the different slots you can record in, but your actual resolution, if we go up to here for a second. I'm trying to do this with one hand and not slide this off the table. But if you can zoom in, it is 50 megabits per second, 1920 by 1080, 30p. Okay, so this is more of a ENG type camera for broadcast. You can do, obviously, like I said, you can do MPEG-4 as well, but you would do that on the small SD card slot. The CF cards are mainly for your 50 megabits per second, 1920 by 1080, 30p. Something else that you will notice about the Canon XF200 is this little cooling fan right here off the side. Now, if you listen closely, you will hear that the fan is on, so I'm going to be quiet for a moment so you can hear that. Hopefully you can hear that, but the fan is on. Some people might be worried, like, oh my gosh, is that fan going to be, noise going to be in my videos and I record? Well, the camera is set up. Once you hit the record button, the fan actually turns off, and the fan automatically kicks on once you stop recording, I think, to get rid of the heat. So if you're concerned that there will be fan noise during your recordings, fear not, the fan does turn off when you are recording. Another difference between the two cameras is you will notice that on the Canon, well, I don't know if you'll notice, but this handle is able to be rotated where the JVC one is not able to do that. That's kind of a nice advantage when you're trying to get different camera angles. So another difference, again, is the swivel handle and the non-swivel handle. And you'll notice too, if you're looking at, since we're up here, they're very wide cameras. I was really surprised how wide the JVC was compared to the Canon. I mean, the Canon is actually pretty wide too, but it's an awfully wide camera. So just something interesting that I noticed about the two cameras. And you can look at their zoom rocker switches here. This is what the JVC one looks like, and this is what the Canon one looks like. They both have record switches on top. Now those are just some of the quick differences that I've noticed between the two cameras. I've only had the JVC for a day. I'm sure I'll find some more differences as time goes on and I use the JVC more. But I wanted to give my viewers or anyone interested in these two cameras some differences in some layouts. I mean, there's other videos on YouTube about their specs and things like that, but I wanted to give more of a real-world comparison of, you know, using them. What are some differences you're going to see right away? The ergonomics and some of the codecs and things like that. I will say I'm very happy with the JVC so far. I did a comparison test in the lighting. I have not had a chance to really go outside and do any filming with it yet. I just got it, and it's very cold out here in the Chicagoland area. I'm going to try to get out tomorrow to a place to go do a film. I'm hoping it'll be bright and sunny out and just get some nicer shots with the camera. I just did a couple indoor things here, and I've been kind of messing around with my dogs, filming them and things like that. But thank you for watching. There'll be more videos coming. I plan on doing a bunch of JVC videos in the next week or so, just so you guys can see some footage. There's not a lot of information out on the camera, and there's not a ton of footage out there on YouTube. So I thought I could help out anyone who might be interested in this camera and see some differences between the other camera that I own. If you're wondering, this was filmed with the Sony RX10 camera. It's a bridge camera, and the video quality in this is just phenomenal. I bought it more for the still shooting, but the video quality is amazing. I'm very happy with it. So if you are looking for a good bridge camera, the Sony RX10 is something to consider. And interesting enough, the new Sony RX10, which came out earlier this summer, does film 4K. This one does not film 4K. This is just a 1080p camera. So I guess that's another option in 2016. Now we're in 2016, the first day of it. If you're looking for a 4K camera, the Sony RX10 II would actually be something to consider as well. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please thumbs up, and have a great day.